Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining the RID information session for the scholarships for academic year fall 26 and spring 27. RIDI has a variety of scholarship opportunities, and each one is specific, but it is kind of a one-stop shop in terms of applying. One application can kind of go for you put your hat in the ring for any of the scholarships, which is also some of the beauty of Scholarship Universe as well. So in this session, we're going to go over the scholarships that RIDI offers internally, what they are, their descriptions, how they're evaluated, and then we'll talk more about the logistics. So they all have requirements in the application. So we'll go over what those requirements are, and then also information about utilizing the application method, which is Scholarship Universe. On our call today, we actually have a scholarship specialist for Western Michigan University, Giulia Hayes. And so towards the end, when we get into the logistics of using Scholarship Universe, we will open up for questions if anybody has specific questions relating to that, but we'll also have more information and we'll hear from Julie on that. So why don't we go ahead and begin, or if Michael or Dustin, if you wanted to provide more background in the scholarships.
Um, they're good to apply for. I mean, it's a pretty low effort with a generous amount of money, so it encourages that everyone applies for them for sure. So,
That is actually a really good point. Um, I always, whenever we get applications, I'm surprised that there aren't more.
mhm.
Because it's not overly extensive to apply, and it really can have a great benefit. But also, one of these awards and these scholarships, because they are specific to acknowledge achievements or talents in specific areas, it's also really great to put them on your resume
Mhm.
and include scholarships and awards um, on your resume. It does elevate that as well. So why don't we start with the first one? And then if anybody has questions at any point, feel free to type them in the chat, but we'll also make sure to open up time at the end for more questions. Um, I'm thinking, why don't we, as faculty members, will each do one and then we'll kind of rotate.
Mhm.
So, was this the first one on the slide, Dustin?
Yes, Kim, it was.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and start with this one and then I'll popcorn it to maybe Michael for the next one. Um,
Okay.
the first scholarship, and we call them the Excellence Distinction Scholarship Awards, because we do feel like students have excellence in a variety of ways, and they should be acknowledged in those ways. So the first one is specific to studio. So this is when you have a high level of participation and enthusiasm and collaboration within the studio environment. Um, you have a professional behavior and you reinforce passionate, creative, and energetic studio culture. Um, that type of studio behavior and studio excellence raises the studio morale exponentially. And we know that so many students bring such a high level of energy and participation to the studio environment, and everybody benefits from that. And so it truly is worth being acknowledged. Um, as an excellence distinction, it's also something that employers love to see as well. And so the three items on the side, every scholarship that we go over will have three a list of three on the side. These are the specific things that the the RID+I Scholarship Committee looks at when we review your applications. And we review everything that you submit from your cover letter to your portfolio to your resume. And so we're able to gauge a lot of information from this, but some of the information, such as the studio, does rely on us to be in the room with you. And so from the entire team that's reviewing, and you've all had us as professors because there's only only three of us here, and all of your classes are mostly with us. So we know firsthand what it's like to have you as a student, and then we get the joy of talking about those studio experiences amongst each other too. But the three things that we're really looking for is that you have observable, professional, and respectful behavior. So this could be by the faculty in the studio. It could be by administration and staff. It could be by guests that we bring in, who often will email and follow up with professors after a visit to commend, specific students that stood out or were memorable, or that they maybe have more of an interest in for interviews. Um, so respectful and professional behavior includes being on time and prepared, modeling respectful behavior, and practicing effective time management skills. We're also looking for students who make valuable contributions to the classroom and studio environment. So providing constructive feedback to your peers, participating in group discussions, and having a collaborative mindset when you're in studio, as well as just being enthusiastic. It has a really big impact. And so those are the three things that we look for. A lot of that are things that are observed from your performance. However, there are opportunities to demonstrate and showcase things like these in your portfolio and your resume. And so later on, we can also discuss how would you demonstrate that in a portfolio or a resume. We'll make sure to cover that. But I'm going to popcorn to Michael for the next one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to of you, Brooklyn and Raina. So thanks for joining. You're going to have a step above everyone else on this. The Scholastic award is pretty straightforward. It's about pretty much your cumulative GPA being reflective of academic achievement. We can also look at that beyond the GPA. If you make that 3.7 GPA, we're also looking for the types of work that you've done and the academic involvement you have within the university, the community, and your studio efforts. I do believe you have to be part of the Lee Honors College for this. And is that true, Dustin or Kim? Yeah,
Yes, it's one of the characteristics of this one.
that's one thing I forgot about my first year grading all these. So you have to be part of the Lee Honors College, and then notable utilization and application of research and program courses. So how are you demonstrating the rigor that you have in your coursework? Now, how do you show that? And same thing with all of these is you really want to be, this is my gripe about applications, is you're not being very demonstrative of your successes and the actual things that you're doing to achieve these. So be very descriptive in the things that you've done for studio excellence or for scholastic excellence. And we can see that you're got your GPA and we can see your Lee Honors College, but what else can you put in there to talk about what you've done to increase your academic achievements in the university?
Okay, why don't we move on to the next one?
Yep, I'm working on it.
It's portfolios.
There we go. Yeah, all right. So yeah, portfolio distinction, it's pretty somewhat self-explanatory. That's really focused on the portfolio, how well it's being graphically presented, consistent, cohesive, professionally formatted, noteworthy achievement of studio project work. So I like to think too, there's a few like unique events that happen throughout the year. Like I know there's a few like IIDA student competitions. I know normally like IDSA does some things as well that introduce some opportunities to do projects that aren't necessarily part of our structured studio. So the portfolio is a great opportunity to showcase some of that more diversified work or work from internships in addition to the classroom. But yeah, we're really looking for high quality design work that's showcased, professionally considered graphic presentation. The graphic presentation too is like really helpful. And not just helpful, but it's something I'd say the three of us really kind of dig into with the portfolio. So if you're kind of like, oh, I really want to try to go for this portfolio distinction, excellent award. Focus more on the formatting of the portfolio and not so much the content's important, but it's definitely a situation, I would say, where less is better, and it's better to be more consistent and professionally graphically conveyed. But yeah, that does it there.
Actually, could I uh
You can't give out popcorn and take it back.
Oh, okay. I was
Move
gonna
it to
say,
the
can I?
next.
I just want to touch on the studio or the portfolio too. Is that award? I know sometimes students feel like I'm just in my first year, my second year. I don't have the same level of
I
portfolio
was
as
going to capture that at the
a
end.
fourth year
Okay,
student.
let's capture
Oh,
that at the
okay.
end. Yeah, sure.
All right, we've got a plan in place for that. So just know that. Okay,
Very
so
good.
community excellence distinction. This is for people that have notable participation in community and extracurricular activities. These inherently deepen the contributions that you bring into your design studies. So we definitely want to acknowledge and encourage and support students that engage in those things. They display leadership skills and excellence in mentorship, volunteering, participation in justice-based activities that benefit the greater good, support community members, and give back. Um, and so, a little history behind this one. Um, this was years ago. We're in design school, so we're always thinking about design. And I was interviewing a student and realized that while in design school that she had studied to become a court interpreter and had worked with a number of Hispanic justice organizations and was working to be an interpreter in the court, especially for low-income families. And I was extremely moved. And there's a lot of things that students do outside of school that is so valuable and meaningful. And so this is a great opportunity to be recognized for those contributions because whatever those are, you're inherently bringing them back into our design studios and our community, and we're benefiting even from them. And so that's so valuable. So particular things, participation in community or school related opportunities. So this could be such, participating in IDSO, charrettes, firm crawls, travel, like neocon or Detroit conferences, portfolio reviews, networking. So it could also be a part of just being an engaged member in our own design community. You may have commendable contributions to the community through regular volunteer work. I've also realized that students are leading like youth groups for their church or an organization multiple nights a week. And that's amazing that you're leading groups and bringing that into your life. So also find ways to use your education experience to give back to community. I've also discovered students that utilize the education that they're receiving, and then they go to places like Disability Advocates of Kent County, and they help people go through interviews that have never had jobs before, or maybe they're interviewing for college. And then they also maybe go to literacy centers and help people learn how to read, because that's the education you're getting in our design program and at Western. And if there's a way that you can take what those talents that you have and what you're learning and do something for the greater good of the community, that's amazing. And we want to encourage and support those activities, but also award and acknowledge them. So that is that one.
Back to Michael. Yeah.
Oh, professional excellence.
Oh,
This is for mainly people that have had internships and professional experiences like job shadowing, field experience, networking events. Do you want to have a demonstration of um, a professional knowledge of all of this stuff and that you're willing to put yourself out there? On the right side of the screen, we have three main things: noteworthy professional experience. So internships are the big thing here. And now we've expanded the internship vocabulary to include field work, job shadowing, things like that all fall under professional excellence. And again, quantify the stuff that you've done, what you have learned, and how you're applying it to your studies or to your cohort to really set yourself apart in these applications. Secondly, is affiliation with professional organizations, IDSA, IDSO, things like that. And lastly, observe professional behavior in the field, including on field trips. So, how are you actually acting? How are you acting in classes as well? And this is something that, how do you really write about that, without sounding like you're just saying, oh, in class, I'm always doing this and that. Ask for a review from your professors. Say, what am I doing in class that can be deemed as professional excellence? What do you see me as? How do you rate me? It's called a 360 review. Basically, you ask your peers and your professionals around you to review you, and that might be something that could give you your example of how you act in class. But really, this is about all your professional demeanor and efforts, endeavors that you've done.
yeah. Great.
Kim, you can add to that. I'm okay with mixing up the popcorn.
Oh, I thought you did a good job there.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, as long as we're meeting your standards, Kim. And then we have the experiential learning achievement scholarship. So this was really this I think this scholarship is like mainly helpful to talk about the intent of it. So we want to do the best we can in supporting professional education. We are very much a practice-based department, and so we acknowledge that those experiences of becoming a developing professional designer, live outside of the classroom. And so we've came up with a financial mechanism known as the Experiential Learning Achievement Scholarship to aid with some of these things. So items that they've helped for in the past, they've paid for housing in Boston for someone that got an internship in Boston. And we really did not want housing to be prohibitive from really leveraging this really amazing scholar or amazing internship opportunity. There's been a few people who've studied internationally. Looks like one here is from Portugal. We had another individual last year that went to Finland because kind of studying in Finland for a period was really supportive of that individual's capstone work. And then we also see indicated here with Citizen Robots and their robot roadshow. So this one, I will sort of mention, I think the others are slightly more general, but for this particular scholarship application, it really does need to be highly specified out. I think how the individual is seeking to receive the scholarship. Which means the specific experiential learning are unique for one. It needs to be beneficial to the larger RID+I community. So often when we've awarded the scholarship, we ask the receiving student does some kind of share out, whether it's in a particular studio or whether it's more of a sort of public department wide sort of presentation. It's not not like anything to stress about by any means. We're just kind of like, if someone has went off in the world and done something really interesting and really relevant to professional design practice, that information to be shared with the community, plus to just to create visibility that these are the types of experiences our department is really encouraging. And then, yeah, the student must demonstrate ability to maintain professionalism and responsibility when immersed in like cultural exchanges or experiences. And then you can see the questions that are asked for to be considered for the specific scholarship. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's
All
popcorn.
right. And I believe this is the last distinct scholarship. It's the Research-Based Initiative Scholarship, or RBI. Um, this is really to support students who want to broaden their design impact and reach through research-based initiatives. So maybe you are working on a project or a specific um, design focus that is driven by exploration or investigation and studies. It might need a field experience or going to a conference or some kind of larger engagement that will greatly impact your research-based initiative. And so when this happens, we do want to be able to support those the best we can, because oftentimes those cost money. So some possibilities at the bottom, but this is not an exhaustive list. This is just to get you out there thinking. Attend a conference, symposium, or a residency, site visits, site excursions. It's possible that there's competitions or charrettes that require some kind of submission fee. Maybe you want to develop a prototype, a high fidelity prototype, and it requires specific parts and materials that you need to be able to acquire to build the prototype that then helps your research. Um, and maybe you're interested in pursuing publication with one of your projects or writings. So there's a lot of things that fall into this category. These are also the types of things that students, usually in the third and fourth years, are getting into on a much deeper level. Um, and so in the past, these have supported students in their fourth year capstone and thesis projects. So some of the considerations, when you apply, you demonstrate a high value and purpose of the research-based initiative, making sure that it is very purposeful and it will have a high value to the work that you're doing. And that is something that can be beneficial to the larger community. Um, your own studies and professional endeavors. So Dustin mentioned with the experience scholarship, it's bring that back and share those experiences with people who weren't there so we can learn about what it was that you did, and broaden our own awareness. This is very similar. So if you've gone out there and done some prototyping or a competition, maybe it was a workshop at another city, it's really cool to hear about those things. So being able to bring that back and benefit the larger community is important. But also then the constraints. So the cost, the timeline, any other specific things that you can identify, um, and making sure they're feasible for the scholarship award, in its ability to support. So for us to be able to determine that if and when you want to apply for something like this, there is these questions to include. And these are based off of any type of grant that somebody would want to have to fund an opportunity. It's very similar. So you would include your name, your degree, your graduation years, a project proposal name, a statement of purpose. So what is the opportunity and why do you want to do it? How will it support your work? The goal, what is your desired goal from the opportunity? The process. So, what is your proposed process? If the opportunity contributes to a larger project or program, describe how it contributes and the process for integrating it into that larger context. Timeline. So perhaps there are specific time frames. Whatever you're pursuing probably is time sensitive and has dates and times. So let us know what those are. Summarize your expected expenses. And so actually think about what it is going to cost to attend that conference or go to that field visit in detail, as much detail as you can. And then provide that summary. And then also provide a summary with ideas on how you might report or share out this experience to the larger community. And so there's some examples down here, but it's really up to you to think about what is the best way to share what it was that you did.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know we have a couple more slides before we get into like the actual like application process, like the how what scholarship universes and all that. I'll just kind of like recapture a few points. So, when it comes to the research-based initiative scholarship, that's something that's like hyper specific, I'll say. And so is the Learning Achievement Scholarship. So I wouldn't suggest anyone apply to either one of those unless you have a very clear, concrete idea of how those funds would be applied to a support of a pursuit. So there's a little bit more footwork that reasonably needs to be done for those scholarships. When it comes to the other four, the professional, the community, the portfolio, and the scholastic. Those are the four that just everyone should just be applying for, no matter what, in my opinion. You should just apply for all four of those and see what happens. And to what Kim started to allude to a little bit, that I'll say are mainly oriented around these four with the orange border. That's a good distinction. The orange are kind of more the general. There's specific things we look for, but the greens are the very specific, the green and the blue, I guess. Is that when we look at those first four, the professional, portfolio, scholastic, what have you, it's myself, Kim, and Michael that are the scholarship committee for RID+I. And we look at them and we evaluate them in reference to where students currently are in their professional journey. So, and give away, but we try to equalize the distribution across the year. So it's never a scenario where it's like, all of the soon to be fourth years are getting all of the scholarships because they have the best portfolios. We always try to say, well, this is where the student is at, whether it's a first, second, or third year, what have you. And so we do our own sort of like calibration, I would say, to make sure that there's like an even and equitable distribution. Because if it always went to students with like the most experience just simply because they've been studying here for the most amount of time, then it would always be going to like a singular like cohort of graduating students. So mhm.
That's actually a really good point. Dustin, could you go back to the portfolio slide? I'm going to touch on that just a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, so one of the reasons we have the items on the side um is because those are items, and this is for all of them, but I'll specifically talk about portfolio. These are things that can apply to wherever you are in your design journey or your year. And so these are things, maybe you're a first year, but you're able to show these three things to a very high level, regardless of the work that's in it. It could be really amazing work for the work you've done in the first year. It will look different than somebody that's in their third or their fourth year. However, we're not necessarily looking at the differences between those. We're looking at where you are and how you relate to these specific points. And that's really for all of them. And so understanding the level you are and how you are approaching those points is our way of kind of spreading out and making sure that just because we are seeing a bunch of like really high end, high renders, high, full design projects, it doesn't mean that a different portfolio doesn't, get acknowledgement because we're looking for very specific things. So just a little caveat.
Sure. Yeah, and I think fundamentally too, just to add on it as well, like there's kind of like two things I'd say we're trying to accomplish. We have money allocated for scholarships. So we want to give students money. This is a good plan for college students that need money, right? If we have some, try to give it away. So there's that piece, but also we're really trying to incentivize just the more things one does, the more comfortable they become at it. And I think we all really want a very like happy, group of students that are comfortable putting together portfolios. So in a way, this is our method to incentivize this like increasing the comfort level of preparing a portfolio as well. And that's why it is kind of like calibrated to ear because I just want to get people, comfortable with putting together a design portfolio.
Yeah. And
Uh,
general professional documents, like
right.
the a
Sure.
cover letter, for instance.
Right. Do you want to talk about this slide at all?
Sure. Yeah. So, how to set up a scholarship universe account and search for design internships. So last year, we had we made a YouTube tutorial, and so you can link it here. I'll also make sure to provide this recording to all of the students, and the link to YouTube. But it actually is through the lens of one of our students who recorded herself going through the application process. Um, and she talks about that and the things to consider and also provides some tips and insights throughout the way. So, how to even create your account, get it started, but then how do you find these specific scholarships on Scholarship Universe? So, this video goes step by step through her lens. We do have timestamps, and there are some links in the description on YouTube as well. But we actually have a member from, I think it's the financial aid office, but a scholarship specialist with us today that can probably speak more on the utilization of Scholarship Universe. Also, there's many scholarships way beyond our department. um, and how to leverage Scholarship Universe to the best of your abilities. Um, and so I am going to open it up for questions if anybody here has any specific questions. I'm curious. I know we don't have too many people on with us, and people will be watching the recording later. But of the people who are on, do a thumbs up if you have already gotten into Scholarship Universe, set it up, and have used it.
All right, Brooklyn.
All right. Okay. All right. So a couple, so you may be able to provide your insights too from that. But this video that's here is great for people that haven't used Scholarship Universe before. And like you have to do those initial first steps to get going in it. So definitely if you're in that boat, this video is for you. Um, Julia, did you have anything you would like to talk about Scholarship Universe, or I don't know if you want to share your screen if you have, if you want to
Yeah,
show it, we can,
sure. Okay.
yeah,
Um, all right. So Scholarship Universe, I also created a video. It's on the financial aid YouTube page. If anyone wants to look up WMU Scholarship Universe, you should be able to find it. Where I go through each of the tabs in Scholarship Universe and what they mean and what you do within them. But I'll go ahead and share my screen. So this is my scholarship universe. Can everyone see it?
yeah,
Okay. So this is my student page. Um, and this shows me how many scholarships need questions answered for me to qualify, scholarships I can currently apply to, and I currently have 0 applications in progress. But if you were to start an application, it automatically saves within Scholarship Universe, and you'd be able to go back into this and edit your application and submit it. Um, you can click on this green banner, qualify for more scholarships by clicking here. This is going to take you to the questions tab. So watch, when I click it, it's going to take you to questions. And it's taking me to the questions that are used for matching purposes within Scholarship Universe. So how it works is the more questions you answer about yourself, the more potential scholarships you'll match to based on those answers. So the system already knows some information about you. It will already have your GPA and your major and your academic college and program and everything like that. But there's a lot of random things that people can get scholarships for. And Scholarship Universe is not just for Western. It actually has external scholarship opportunities that have all been vetted. So the more questions you answer about yourself, the more you could potentially match to and apply for. And then when we go to scholarships, this is going to show your matches. So these are scholarships that I match to based on my student profile. This little institutional icon means that it's an institutional scholarship, and this global icon means it's a global scholarship outside of Scholarship Universe. And it says here, external scholarship. And then these ones, they say which organization within the university is using that application or this scholarship. And you can actually click view. And this one doesn't have any matching criteria, so it's not a good example. But if I click on this one, I'm a graduate student with a 4.0 GPA, so I match to this. If I wanted to apply, I could just go ahead and click apply. And I'm going to verify my information is correct. And then I'm going to go through the application and submit my answers. And then if I want to, let's say I have a 4.0 Spanish GPA and I'm going to be a graduate student, and I'm like, wait, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go back to applications here. In progress, here's my Spanish application that I just started. And then it actually, here in applications, there's also applications that are ready for me to start. So you'll probably see the student financial aid application because there's one of our scholarships that doesn't have any matching criteria, so any student can apply for it. So you should at least match to that one. But the more questions you answer, like there's one about volunteer work, there's some about like first generation college student. The more questions you answer, the more you could potentially see that you're applying to within the application. And then back to the scholarships tab, you can pin scholarships for future use, and they'll go into this pinned tab. You can also put whether you're not interested in the scholarship, and that will remove it from here and put it in this not interested tab. You can also go to your partial matches and see, why do I not completely match to this scholarship? What's going on? Is there something that I need to answer about myself? So this one's because I don't have a minor. And this is specific for Spanish minors. So that's very specific. And I can't answer anything. I can just put, I'm not interested. It's not relevant to me. And then that will remove it from here. And then you can see your awards. The outstanding will show any outstanding awards that require action, like for you to accept or write a thank you letter. And then the awards tab is going to show your awards that have been posted. And then the My Docs, that's where you're going to be able to see your portfolio that you uploaded. It gets saved within Scholarship Universe. So that's the gist of Scholarship Universe. It's a really great tool. And it actually just this week was put onto GoWMU. So you can access it by going to the student applications within GoWMU. I'll actually show you how to get to it. So go.wmich.edu, log in, and then after you've logged in to GoWMU, you're going to go to the apps page. And then there's something for everyone, for faculty and staff, and then for students. I don't know if students see all of this, but the for students should definitely be on your page. And then Scholarship Universe is down here. If you click on it, it will take you directly to the web page, to your dashboard. So you can even apply from your phone, but I don't recommend it because it's not going to have spell check. It's definitely one of the things is if you're writing an essay for Scholarship Universe within a text box, it's best practice to write it in Word doc and use spell check and then paste it into Scholarship Universe. Just a tidbit for what can be helpful for students. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I know our departmental scholarships have an open application period, but
Mhm.
I noticed as you were going through some of them that other scholarships they have different application periods within them. Um, so I'm curious at any point if a student was like, what scholarships are available right now? Could they go onto Scholarship Universe and just see different ones that are active?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So the majority of scholarship applications internally are going to be from December 1st through February 15th. That's like the standard. But like for financial aid application, we actually opened it early on November 17th. And like the Spanish department opens theirs in October. So it really depends on the department. There's no current mandate for how to do it and when to do it. And of course, like if a donor donates money to the university and they want the scholarship awarded right away, then we have to create the scholarship within Scholarship Universe, and it might be outside of that normal window. So absolutely, a student can check at any time, and there's always going to be opportunities there. Even if there's not internal, there will be external opportunities, and they all have various deadlines.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like a good habit to just check in and see what is being posted regularly because
yeah,
there might be
absolutely.
opportunities out there. Another question I thought of, when somebody is filling out their questions about themselves, do
Hmm.
they have the ability to change their answers or update those again, or is it when you fill it out, like you're providing your basic information and it's there?
You can go to questions and click edit on the ones that do allow you to edit them. Some of them, the students won't be able to change it. I'm trying to see if there's any here. Let's see. All of these are editable. Oh, here's some that aren't. So like your current or intended major, your degree status, your classification, whether you're a continuing or a transfer student, what your financial need is, if you're a resident of Michigan. Some of those things are locked, so you can't change your answer, but for a lot of things you can. And actually, these students probably know this. Sometimes you'll get an email from Scholarship Universe telling you to update your answers because there are some questions that they're on a time stamp. So the student must re-answer every year or re-answer every term. So it's always good practice to go back to questions and answer questions or look at when you last answered questions and maybe edit them if they're no longer correct. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, and actually, do the answers that are locked, are those things that automatically get like when it's
Updated?
your account because those are kind of like your GPA will come straight for the university or
Yes.
okay.
They're all imported from our software system that Western uses, Banner. It's all imported from that system. That's where all the students' GPAs get entered and their major and everything. And we have a file that uploads into Scholarship Universe every morning. So those should always be up to date. And if any student ever has incorrect information in Scholarship Universe that they can't edit, feel free to reach out to me directly and I can look into why it's incorrect on the data file. Because if it's incorrect in Scholarship Universe, it's probably incorrect on the data file, which means it's incorrect on their student account. So then I'll have to do some digging. But that's the gist of it.
Okay. So say I'm a student and I applied for one of the um, design excellence categories that we have. I know from the first slide that the faculty showed, it says when you'll be notified by.
Mhm.
Um, so how do I, if I, am I notified through Scholarship Universe? Like, should I be expecting an email or like I see there's an awards tab? Is there a way I can
Yes.
like check the status of things or will I, how is that
That's
prompted?
a good question. It will come through an email from financial aid. So when a department uh, sends a notification to a student through Scholarship Universe, it gets sent from the FinAid info email. And it will tell them specifically, like, you have been chosen for X scholarship. Congratulations, that kind of stuff. Um, Whether the department sends notifications to students who didn't receive scholarships is up to the departments. I will say that for financial aid, we will be notifying students who do not get any awards. But it is kind of a trickier feature to use in Scholarship Universe, so there may be some departments that choose not to use it. Um, there's still some things with Scholarship Universe that can be a little clunky for users to get used to. So they may or may not get a notification, but they should be notified no later than April 15th for the majority of scholarships, whether they are getting them, but whether they are not, that's a different story. They could see in applications they've submitted. And honestly, I haven't even. So it will say the review or awarding stage has begun for this application. No edits are allowed during this stage. So at least you can know that they've moved on to the next phase. But I'm not sure how to tell that they're done with reviewing and they're done with awarding other than the notification um, feature. So that's a good question. And I'm actually a little stumped on it. Mhm.
I just asked because I've gotten, I'm asking questions that I've received in the past too,
Yeah,
of how do I know? And, as a faculty, I only know so much as well. So, but,
right.
from the perspective of financial aid, you definitely provided more insight. So thank you for that.
Of course. Do any of the students have any questions?
Or even Annemarie, if there's, as our academic advisor, if there's questions that you've heard or that have, you know, come your way that Julia may be able to have insight.
The only thing that really comes to mind, you guys did a beautiful job covering everything, is sometimes scholarships independently have distinct rules on how many credit hours you have to complete in a year, or typically you have to be a minimum of 12 credit hours or more for most, if not all. So that's just something to make sure you're paying attention to the individual scholarships. If you withdraw from a class, that can impact things. for you with your financial aid and scholarships. And I always have those conversations, but sometimes students, go through with the action before checking in with someone. So I would just say always err on the side of caution with those things and make sure you meet with financial aid or have a chat with someone that understands the requirement.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Um, that's especially the case for our admission scholarships. So like the Bronco Honors, Brown and Gold, Bronco Recognition. All those scholarships require full-time enrollment, and most of them require students to complete 28 credit hours within the academic year. And if you don't complete those requirements, then you may lose the scholarship. So that's a great point. And you can actually see the acceptance criteria here in Scholarship Universe in awards. If you go to awards, right here in this column, acceptance criteria, I don't have an award, so there's nothing here. But if you did have an award, you can actually go here and check what was the criteria that I accepted at the time I accepted the award. Because for the admission scholarships, we always have in the acceptance criteria what those requirements are for renewal. But it's a matter of whether students are checking that and being aware of that when they're dropping classes.
Yeah, then that also brought to mind something that I think is worth just kind of like highlighting too. Since particularly our interior architecture and design program goes through kind of like an admittance process in the summer, and the scholarship award process is like fall, like this time of year. I will kind of mention that any scholarships that are awarded by our department, the student must continue to be a major with our department in order to continue to receive them. So I think that's an important thing to just kind of like highlight for sure. So
Yeah, good point.
yeah,
Yeah. So, Dustin, I think there was one
there is one.
last page, and it'll be kind of our wrap up because there's an opportunity here. Okay.
That's
So, a few of the things we said we'd come back and provide more information on. Um, so we are going to have a professional development focus session with the focus being on scholarship and internship, um, specifically with cover letter, resume, and portfolio. This will be on Friday, December 5 from 9 to 10:30 um, in the Richmond. I'll say it's the Richmond like art history auditorium space, 2008. This is during the intro to interior design class period that meets there normally. So if you are in the first year and you're in that class, this is what we're doing in class, but all are welcome. And so I'll bring in maybe bagels or coffee or something, and um, we'll really start talking about how you bring together a cover letter, resume, and portfolio as a cohesive package to tell your story, regardless of where you are in your design journey or your level. There are successful strategies to effectively tell that story. We'll also look at them separately. So, what is a cover letter? What are some of the things that you can talk about that are complementary to what's in your resume and portfolio? And so, even though we're looking through the lens of scholarship and internship, these are tips that can be applied anywhere. Um, the resume, there are different ways to format a resume. So if you don't have professional experience or even work experience, but you do have really valuable experiences, how do you frame that in a resume? We'll go over that because there are some unique and really clever ways to really show all of your skills and capabilities and experiences that can contribute to whatever it is that you are applying for. So we'll go over formatting, language, the content, and same with the portfolio. So from the scholarship and internship focus, what does that look like? And I know because the application period is before students in the first year have even taken the class where they learn how to put together a portfolio. We'll go over, say, you have no knowledge of design softwares, and you have like a Google Slides or a Word doc. How can you effectively put work together that demonstrates your skills and capabilities using some of those streamlined methods that can be very successful. So we're going to go over those, um, and then ultimately talk about how all three of those things can come together to really capture who you are holistically as a person and a designer. So again, everybody's welcome. Friday, December 5. It's actually the last day of the fall semester official or of the classes before final week. So please come if you're able. I think it'll be a really valuable session. We might have a few surprise guests joining us to provide some unique insights and maybe share examples of their resume, cover letter, portfolio, even maybe their first ones they ever did. So, um, again, everybody's welcome. Please join. Even if you come late, show up. That's totally fine. Would love to have you. All right. We are right at 5 o'clock, so that's impressive.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
yeah.
I'll see everyone later. I've got to hop off,
Oh,
but
okay.